You can own a $1 million home and still worry about a $500 monthly bill. That sounds ridiculous until you separate wealth from cash. A London homeowner who bought decades ago may now sit on hundreds of thousands of dollars in equity without ever earning a millionaire salary. The same thing happens in Sydney, Vancouver, Auckland, and San Jose. Their homes became rich, their bank accounts did not. So when property prices turn ordinary homeowners into paper millionaires, how wealthy are they really? Take a household that looks incredibly secure on paper. They live in a $1 million house with almost no mortgage, giving them an enormous net worth. But their bank account holds exactly $25,000. If an unexpected $30,000 roof repair hits, their massive property wealth offers zero immediate protection. The homeowner cannot take a piece of the kitchen to the supermarket. The roof cannot pay the electricity bill. The extra bedroom cannot purchase an airline ticket unless it is rented out or the entire property is monetized. Physical assets require extreme measures to generate spendable money. To understand why, we have to isolate the math. Property value is simply what a buyer might pay today. Home equity is that value minus your mortgage. Net worth calculates all your assets minus all your debts. But none of those pay for groceries. For that, you need income, the money arriving each month, and liquid wealth, the assets you can actually access without selling your primary shelter. This chart compares two very different financial realities. Household A owns a paid-off property, giving them a net worth approaching $1 million, but they live on a $70,000 salary. Household B rents their home, meaning their net worth is far lower. However, they earn $250,000 a year and keep massive cash reserves. Which household feels richer in daily life? The answer depends entirely on your definition of wealth. Wealth tells us what you own. Liquidity tells us what you access. Income tells us what keeps arriving. Those three separate realities are currently colliding inside the world's most expensive housing markets. Look at a traditional London townhouse. A couple who bought one of these properties several decades ago likely paid a price that was perfectly affordable on a modest salary. Over the years, the neighborhood became more desirable, the local economy expanded, and housing supply tightened. The original mortgage disappeared, but the property value quietly climbed to roughly $1 million. The owner did not suddenly receive a $1 million check. A retired resident might now live on a state pension and careful savings, occupying a home that a new buyer could only purchase by proving an enormous corporate salary and a massive cash deposit. In Sydney, the $1 million threshold has crossed into entirely normal suburbs. A property valued at $1 million here is rarely an extravagant mansion. Very often, it is a modest, ordinary family dwelling. The people inside these homes haven't necessarily changed their lifestyle to match their new paper wealth. They still compare supermarket prices, drive ordinary cars, worry about energy bills, and postpone expensive repairs. They hold an immense amount of equity, yet live on far less cash flow than younger professionals. When land appreciates, the market value of the structure changes. The household's bank account does not. We are left with a generational divide defined almost entirely by the date a signature was placed on a mortgage contract. Vancouver illustrates a different hazard: extreme wealth concentration. For many families here, residential property represents the dominant share of their total net worth. This chart breaks down the danger. A diversified millionaire spreads their wealth across cash, bonds, shares, and retirement accounts. But for many homeowners, their $1 million net worth is concentrated almost entirely inside a single physical structure in a single city. If the local property market dips, their entire paper fortune shrinks. Auckland reveals what happens when a whole city reprices at once. Long periods of appreciation dramatically increased the equity of existing homeowners without any active business success or higher productivity on their part. Suppose you bought a house for $400,000, and today it is worth $1 million. You gained $600,000 in equity. But selling the house does not generate financial freedom because every other house in your neighborhood also doubled in price. Inside a closed, inflating housing market, much of that newly acquired wealth is locked directly into the cost of replacing the home. The equity acts as a defensive shield against rising rents, but the cash remains entirely trapped. In San Jose and the Wire Bay area, a single street can contain identical $1 million homes hiding vastly different household finances. The property value tells us nothing about the debt. Looking at this diagram, homeowner A bought decades ago. They have moderate income, zero debt, and 100% equity. Homeowner B purchased last year. They earn a massive tech salary, but carry an $800,000 mortgage, leaving them with very little actual equity. They live in identical houses, but they are living opposite financial lives. Hong Kong severs the final misconception, the idea that $1 million guarantees a luxurious physical space. In one of the world's most expensive housing markets per square meter, property price and property luxury are entirely separate concepts. Severe land scarcity, transport proximity, and urban demand can push a modest, compact apartment well past the $1 million mark. The owner becomes a paper millionaire, while their everyday physical experience remains distinctly middle-class. Property value dictates what the market will pay for a location. It reveals absolutely nothing about the owner's debt burden, their daily cash flow, or their physical quality of life. The obvious solution is to downsize, but this transaction funnel shows the friction involved. You start with $1 million property. After you subtract selling costs, legal expenses, milling fees, and the $650,000 required for a smaller replacement home, the liquid cash released shrinks dramatically. You could move to a cheaper housing market entirely. That releases massive equity. But human geography creates heavy resistance. Moving away means abandoning established job networks, familiar healthcare, aging parents, and lifelong friends. What about borrowing against the home? You can, but borrowing is not free income. It converts your hard-earned equity back into debt. For a retired household on a fixed pension, the ability to service new monthly interest payments is severely limited, regardless of the collateral's value. Instead, this wealth often stays trapped until it circulates through the family loop. Parents use their equity to guarantee loans or provide deposit assistance for their children, and eventually the wealth transfers via inheritance. Housing equity directly shapes the purchasing power of the next generation. The wealth on paper is not imaginary. A paid-off home provides absolute housing security and a shield against rent inflation. It is highly desirable economic wealth. Its only flaw is that it is structurally illiquid. We can separate households into 4 categories. The liquid millionaire holds wealth in accessible financial assets. The property millionaire has wealth trapped inside their primary residence. The high-income household has massive cash flow but heavy debt. And the retired asset-rich household possesses a valuable debt-free home but very little cash. To understand financial security, stop asking if the home is worth $1 million. Ask 5 questions. How much cash can the household access this week? How much income arrives every month? How much debt must be serviced? How much net worth is locked inside the home? And could the household maintain its lifestyle without selling? A household can be wealthy by net worth, middle class by income, cash constrained by liquidity, and completely secure in their housing tenure, all at the exact same time. Property prices measure the value of a location. Liquidity and cash flow dictate the reality of the human life lived inside it. Money map, tracking exactly where your wealth is working.